Hi everybody, this is foXnoMad, and today I want to help you travel smarter by showing you how to visit all the Game of Thrones sites in Andalusia in southern Spain.
Alright, sorry, but I can't really use the Game of Thrones music, otherwise this video will get demonetized, so that's as close as I can get to. So let's get started. To some people, this is Seville, but to other people, this is Dorne. And you can visit this and some other Game of Thrones sites all across southern Spain quite easily, whether you're visiting Granada, whether you're visiting Seville or Cordoba. Here's how to get to all of those sites. Now, you can do this in one of three ways. You can either do this as a very long day trip, so that means getting up at like 5 a.m. if you're going to do this from Granada, or you can do this as two separate day trips depending on where you're starting from. Let's go with the angle that you're going to do each one as a day trip, or if you're already staying in Seville or Cordoba, obviously those are day trips as well. You just don't have to really go very far. Now, if you are going from Granada, and if you still don't know why you should visit Granada, maybe you should check out this video of mine, but if you are starting off from Granada, the first logical choice is to go to Cordoba. But if you do want to opt for the longer option and go to Seville, there are some sites along the way that you'll want to see, but the Osuna bull ring, which you might have noticed from this fight in Meereen, is along the way, but it has some really funky hours. It's basically closed Sundays and Mondays, and it's open a couple days throughout the week for just 2 or 3 hours. So you're going to want to plan this out really well. Check their website linked below to make sure that you get the most updated schedule so you don't miss it. If you do get there, however, and you can't get inside, keep in mind that this is an area where you can drone, so you can just step across the street. There's a small little empty parking lot there. You can use your drone and at least capture some shots from above. The entry fee is €2, and once you're inside, it's about a 20 to 30 minute, even less visit, because there's not a lot inside. This is not an active bull ring, it's just there for tourism basically. Now, assuming that you're going from Granada or you're starting out from Cordoba, the most logical place to go next is Cordoba. But right outside of Cordoba is Castillo Almodóvar del Rio, which is this amazing, impressive castle. I highly recommend that if you get to the castle, it's gonna open again. Remember, everywhere in this part of Spain, most of these tourist sites are gonna have a siesta, so they're gonna be closed for several hours during the afternoon, which makes it a good location to get lunch. You can get lunch right across from the castle parking lot. The parking is free, by the way, and you can eat there and then listen to some stories from the staff, because apparently the Game of Thrones cast was eating here every day when they were filming their scenes of High Garden. The nice thing about getting here for lunchtime is by the time you leave this castle, it's going to be sunset, and if the weather is good, you're going to get some amazing shots with the sun coming down right behind the castle, and they're going to totally rock your Instagram profile. There aren't many visitors to this castle, but I have to say, out of all of these sites, in my opinion, it's the most impressive one. It's about €10 to get in, and you can get a guided tour if you want and pay a little bit of extra, but it's really easy to navigate. And if you're there for Game of Thrones, they've conveniently put up all these signs and pictures to show you what scenes were filmed where, and you can kind of imagine yourself like Jaime Lannister walking around these walls preparing for battle. The views of the city down below are also really amazing. And this site is just outside of Cordoba, so keep that in mind. It's not very far. You can get there by bus, but I think to do all of these trips, I would recommend just renting a car for 2 days. It gives you the most flexibility, and it's not very expensive at all. The next easy site to visit is actually in Cordoba. It's the Roman bridge, which was used as the bridge into Volantis. Now, the next big one, which is probably the most easily recognizable, is Dorne. I mean, the real Alcázar de Sevilla. It's pretty much a palace which you can walk around. One thing I do highly recommend is that you get your tickets online, otherwise you're gonna have to wait 15 to 30 minutes to get in. The lines are very long, and they block them off in about 15-minute intervals, taking only a certain amount of people at a time. It costs about €7 to €10 to get in, depending if you want a guided tour or not, but it's pretty easy to wander around on your own. Now, in contrast to High Garden, they don't really highlight where scenes were filmed from Game of Thrones. Obviously, the hundreds of years of history here are enough for them, which probably should be enough for you too. But if you're a big Game of Thrones fan, you're gonna have to do a little bit of research to figure out where the scenes were filmed. They're pretty easy to figure out. When you're actually in the garden, you're gonna have to walk around, and you'll start to recognize some really popular spots. You can get the best views from the balconies on the second floor and see where Prince Doran was stabbed in the chest, and get some great photography as well. And when it comes to all of these sites, I have to say, if you're not a Game of Thrones fan at all, if you've never seen the show or don't know anything about it, these are all sites that are still worth visiting. They're actually really nice. I would have never found the Castillo Almodovar del Rio. I would have never really gone to that site had it not been for it being in Game of Thrones. It would have never come across my radar, but I'm really glad that I did make it out there. I'm really glad that I got to see it, and honestly, there are so many of these little day trips that you can do around these 3 cities that are main tourist hubs in Andalusia. I highly recommend that you do take a day at least to go see some of these sites. They're very interesting and they're excellent for photographs as well, and they're gonna, like I said, light up your Instagram if you're into that. And if you're into photography, these places are really ideal. And if you do have a drone with you, you can drone at pretty much all of these sites except for the palace in Seville. Now, if you're pressed for time and you can only go to one of these 2 sites as day trips from Granada as I did them, I would recommend that you do Cordoba, and especially don't miss Castillo Almodovar del Rio. And that's a very easy one to get to. Like I said, you don't have to leave very early in the morning. You can leave at mid-morning and get there with plenty of time to see everything. If you do want to get into Cordoba though and spend some time there, it's probably best to leave Granada around 8 in the morning, go to Cordoba first, see the bridge, see Cordoba, and then go back to the Castillo for lunch. And then once you're up there, as you're leaving for sunset, stop along the road. There's basically no traffic, so it will be very easy, and there are pull-off spots. You can stop and get some great sunset photos of the castle as well. So let me know if you're a Game of Thrones fan, if you've been to any of these sites, or if you have any questions in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll have new videos for you every week. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.